On July 17, 2014, Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur with 283 passengers and 15 crew was shot down by Russian-backed forces with surface-to-air missile while flying over eastern Ukraine. All these examples highlight the issue of misidentification. Post September 11, 2001, there are specific procedures to be followed in the event of track deviation due to weather or failure of navigation signals. Specific radio procedures are implemented for crew to comply with, else Air Force fighter jets may shoot down a civilian aircraft if perceived to be flying in a suspicious manner. On February 16, 2017, an Indian airline flight, Jet Airways Flight 9 Whiskey 118 with 330 passengers and 15 crew members from Mumbai to London was cruising at 36,000 feet. It flew over few flight information regions without maintaining radio contact with air traffic control of the region. The plane had not deviated from its assigned track when it entered German airspace north of Cologne. The German Air Force deployed two of its Eurofighter Typhoons to intercept the Indian plane. Had the Jet Airways crew not responded to the Germans on an emergency frequency, they could have been shot down. Indian safety regulator DGCA did a cover-up terming it as a malfunction of the aircraft's communication system. It was a if it was really a communication failure, the aircraft crew should have been using a necessary transponder code, and ground stations would have known that it was an aircraft facing communication failure. Fighter jets would not have deployed to intercept it. The case of an Azerbaijani airliner while on flight from Baku to Azerbaijan to Grozny in Russia on December 25, 2024, which crashed near the Kazakhstan city of Aktau after being diverted, has been the result of another event where Russian anti-aircraft defense system may have caused the loss of lives. Over 67 passengers on board. There were some survivors for a state to get away with it, but by just saying sorry does not bring back the precious lives lost. The aircraft had veered from its scheduled route due to fog. There is also a issue of GPS spoofing and false signals or loss of signals that affect navigation. More than 500 people have lost their lives to civilian airlines being shot down. With growing wars and conflicts, flying over near aircraft zones is becoming dangerous, especially when there are countries which do not respect international borders and there are rogue elements who cause trouble by interfering with GPS signals. This brings focus on serious issues. Do airlines in India have a comprehensive training in place for pilots to recognize jammed signals? And do the airlines have standard operating procedures in place for taking over the navigation without alternative methods? There are reports of GPS errors or failures in the airspace over Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Myanmar, with rapid expansion of flights and large number of aircraft being inducted. Do airlines in India have enough experienced pilots? For example, Air India operates many of its non-stop flights to west coast of United States on routes that are avoided by American carriers. There are also reports on some leased aircraft, with Air India not being equipped for extended flights over mountainous terrain. We hear nothing from DGC on what preventive measures it is taking in these cases. We have had three passenger aircraft shot down by Russians or Russian linked agents. We have had the US Navy shooting down a passenger airliner. We have had a cargo aircraft shot down by a terrorist group with missiles supplied by either Russia or US, as conflicts in West Asia have involved one or other superpower aiding sides in the conflict. The large scale use of drones and defense forces using missiles to shoot down flights made the skies really unsafe for passenger aircraft while flying over conflict regions. There is another danger. Skill levels have dropped as there is now rapid training, which has resulted in degraded monitoring to assess pilot proficiency. The world has to wake up and take cognizance of this new danger. Indian aviation may be expanding rapidly, but at the same time, there is no urgency or compulsion to ensure the quality of pilots' flying skills. As James Reason's Swiss cheese theory explains, the holes in the cheese are lining up. Do we act now or let another disaster pass? China's moves must recast India's critical minerals push. On January 2, 2025, China's Ministry of Commerce expanded its export control list by including 28 entities from the United States, effectively restricting their access to swath of items classified under dual-use export controls. At the core of these restrictions lie mineral and rare unrefined materials that are vital for high technology applications such as in aerospace, semiconductors, batteries, advanced electronics. Beijing's list encompassed tungsten, gallium, magnesium, beryllium, hafnium, lithium, and other minerals with uses ranging from chip production to specialty alloys. This is not the first time that China has weaponized the exports of its critical minerals, and its approach that is strategic and calculated. Beijing primarily target minerals that are deemed to be critical by Western nations and their allies, especially those essential for semiconductor batteries and high-tech manufacturing. However, China carefully balances these decisions against two constraining factors. It avoids controlling minerals which are heavily dependent on Western raw material imports, and it refrains from actions that could disrupt its domestic industrial enterprises or export dependent sectors. This strategic calculus was evident in China's rare earth minerals embargo against Japan in 2010, its recent restrictions on antimony, gallium, and germanium exports, and its ban in December 23 on rare earth extraction and processing technologies. The situation in India, meanwhile, the policymakers in the United States and elsewhere are becoming increasingly concerned. These developments underscore a larger trend. The competition for critical minerals has become a fulcrum of international diplomacy. For nations such as India, these events are also a wake up call to improve domestic mineral exploration and production capacity. India's push for critical minerals development has faced stubborn challenges. In 23 lithium deposits that were found in Jammu and Kashmir's Risi district made headlines hinting that a game changer movement for India's energy transition. However, little over a year later, the story remains lackluster. No company has shown interest in bidding for these resources, and the block remains in limbo. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated event. Government data show that only 48% of the mineral blocks available for auction in the recent years have been auctioned. The lack of market enthusiasm can be pinned entirely on the government negligence. Over the last 3 years, the union government has introduced measures to spur activity in critical minerals. Ministry of Mines identified 30 critical minerals that are deemed essential for national security, and before that, Union government set up a designated body, Khanij Videsh India Limited, which has been tasked with obtaining overseas investments in critical minerals such as lithium and cobalt. Parliament passed Minerals and Mines Development and Regulation Amendment Act 23, lifting restrictive classifications on some rare earth elements that used to be considered atomic minerals. These reforms theoretically opened the door for greater private sector investment and technology sharing. A key highlight of the 23 Amendment is the introduction of exploration license, devised to attract specialized resource exploration agencies, including foreign companies, to survey potentially rich but geologically challenging deposits. Instead of having to commit to a full-scale mining operation that can, over a decade or more, to turn profitable, these exploratory firms can now participate in reconnaissance and prospecting alone. The law also promises to reimburse 50% of the exploration expenditure once mining begins, aiming to de-risk early stage operations. Despite these promising reforms, the results have been tepid. Only a handful of exploration Licenses for minerals such as lithium, rare earth elements, and graphite have been cleared, and mostly went to Indian public sector firms. Foreign participation is sparse, and further downstream, mining lease auctions for critical minerals have largely stalled. One explanation is that India's resource classification is outdated, leaving miners unsure about the commercial viability of mineral blocks. Exploration levels are often categorized under international norms such as G1, G2, G3, G4, require progressively detailed geological data, ore grade, and quantity. Many auction blocks in India have yet to reach advanced exploration status, making them riskier to prospective bidders. That said, more puzzling factor is the low demand for exploration licenses themselves, an option that should in principle help de-risk investments but evidently had not had the intended effect. This brings us to the essential role of high quality data. Exploration is at the heart of mitigating information asymmetry, where potential buyers, mining companies, and seller governments do not share a clear view of resources' true value. Without robust geological surveys, many bidders discount their offers or abstain entirely. The result is suboptimal auctions, with some potentially valuable blocks simply overlooked. A possible remedy is to offer large upfront fiscal incentives during the exploration phase. In other words, solution might be to approach critical minerals extraction as a semiconductor fabrication project in chip manufacturing, another sector with enormous upfront cost and slow returns. India has taken an aggressive approach, pledging direct capital supports early in the construction phase. A similar model could work for critical minerals, offering immediate exploration cost instead of reimbursing them only when the production begins. Upfront capital support for exploration could resolve a market failure and help unlock value many times over downstream mining, exploration, sales, and exports. The oligarchy we see today. In his farewell remarks, US President Joe Biden warned that an oligarchy was taking shape and threatening American democracy, similar to Dwight Eisenhower's cautionary warning in 1961 about a military industrial complex. Mr. Biden highlighted a tech industrial complex. He said that a new gilded age of robber barons was in danger of eroding hard won freedoms. As The Guardian noted in editorial, US President Theodore Roosevelt undermined the malefactors of wealth by trust busting, creating regulatory agencies, and putting land off limits to commercial exploitation. Today, the question of who will rule the US, the people, or the new aristocrats, may ultimately be at stake, it said. Everywhere, political and economic power are intertwined. However, the connection can occasionally turn bleak and dangerous. There are 13 billionaires in US President uh, Donald Trump's cabinet. Elon Musk, the first individual with net worth of $400 billion, asked voters to brace for a temporary hardship as his Department of Government Efficiency will reduce public spending. Mr. Musk invested $200 million in Trump's election campaign. Oligarchs are already benefiting from their support for the fossil fuel friendly president. At Mr. Trump's inauguration, among others, Amazon's Jeff Bezos, Tim Cook, and Meta's Zuckerberg were present. Some of their businesses have significant contracts with the federal government. Greek philosopher Aristotle coined the word oligarchy to contrast the ruling of wealthy few for corrupt and unjust purposes with that of aristocracy or elite upper class. Oligarchs usually acquire power by financial means such as making large donations to politicians who then govern in ways that oligarchs specify. But oligarchs can also become powerful because of their social standing, notoriety, and education, military, religious, or political ties. Political scientist Jeffrey A. Winters outlined the historical commodity of oligarchs in this 2011 book, Oligarchy: How Oligarchs Respond to the Threats They Face, including how directly they involved they are in in supplying the coercion underlying all property claims, whether individually or collectively. All influence their pursuit of wealth, defense, he said. Nonetheless, there have been significant shifts in the nature of oligarchy across the ages. The US media has likened Michael Bloomberg to a Roman oligarch Marcus Crassus, and Mr. Bloomberg was vying for a third term as mayor of New York. An oligarchy is only evil if and when oligarchs violate the rule of law, remove the checks and balances on their power, and prioritize their own interests over those of people. As noted by Aristotle and Robert Michaels, this is what happened historically, as the Philippines is said to be an oligarchy because of its colonial past and powerful families. China defines itself as a communist people's republic, but some have referred to as oligarchy as a small number of people have had all the power for several decades. More recently, the term has been used to refer to affluent, powerful, well connected Russian businessmen. But in 2022, US Senator Bernie Sanders noted, of course, the oligarchs run Russia, but guess what? Oligarchs run the United States as well. What is the nature of oligarchy then? In 2017 book American Oligarchy Permanent Political Class, historian Ron Formisano wrote about the emergence of permanent political class on a scale never seen in American history. Rising inequality is the result of its corruption, nepotism, and self-dealing. In addition to politicians, Formi- Formisano explores the activities of lobbyists, consultants, appointed bureaucrats, pollsters, celebrity journalists, and billionaires working behind the scenes. Economist Simon Johnson, however, perceived that the emergence of an American financial aristocracy gained traction during the 2008 financial crisis. In 2015, the former President Jimmy Carter described the US as an oligarchy with unlimited political bribery. As citizens United versus FEC Supreme Court ruling in 2010 lifted restrictions on political campaign donations. Is oligarchy confined to a select few countries? As Mr. Sanders said, all over the world, we are seeing a small number of incredibly wealthy people running things in their favor. It would be unjust to blame only Mr. Trump for encouraging oligarchy. Several billionaires contributed to Mr. Biden's re-election campaign too. Can democracy fight against oligarchy? Despite Aristotle's assertion in his book Politics that democracy is safer and more free from civil strife than oligarchy, the German sociologist Robert Michaels in 20th century's Iron Law of Oligarchy contends that democracy is an oxymoron because it will inevitably turn into an oligarchy due to the necessity to divide labor. More than 200 years ago, US President John Adams had expressed fear about the power elite. Today, in today's increasingly unequal world, empowered by tech marvels such as artificial intelligence, economic power invariably gets concentrated in a few hands. This may lead to intense oligarchy. Jio leads in 12 telecom circles, Airtel dominates in 9. Reliance Jio leads the wireless subscriber market in 12 of India's 22 telecom circles, while Airtel dominates 9. This leaves Vodafone Idea as the leader in just one circle, Kerala. In the northeastern and Jammu and Kashmir circle, Airtel leads the market with around half of the subscribers choosing the provider. In Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Himachal, Airtel leads the market share with 40 to 50%, while in Tamil Nadu and Punjab, it leads with a share less than 40%. In Madhya Pradesh, Reliance Jio has a wireless subscriber market 55%. Kolkata, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Odisha, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Jio leads with a market share of 40 to 50%, while in Uttar Pradesh, Mumbai, it leads with a share of less than 40%. Over the years, the market shares of Vodafone Idea and BSNL have sharply declined from their respective peaks across the states, creating a duopoly in recent years. In contrast, Jio and Airtel have reached their peak market across most states, with very few exceptions. Playing the Punjab card in Delhi, the app is hoping to fight anti-incumbency by riding on its achievement in Punjab. China extends ping pong diplomacy to India. China is sending a 62-member contingent to head the Vice Minister of 33 World Table Tennis Championships for an Opens in Calcutta on February 6, with the overtones of ping pong diplomacy combining politics with sport. Though the number of Chinese players participating will be only 24, the delegation will include officials, pressmen, cameramen, doctors, interpreters, security personnel, and communications men. The rise in India's hiring activity in December 24, 31% year-on-year, consumers, electronics manufacturing, construction and engineering were leading the charge with 60%, 57%, 57% year-on-year. Number of trains to run for Mahakumbh on Mani Avasya 150. Minimum support price for Rajut 25-26 5650 per quintal. Number of people who fled to Sudan war to South Sudan 1 million. Number of people killed in Indonesian landslide 1900. Rescuers. Hundreds of rescuers, 19 people were killed, were searching through thick mud and debris to find survivors. What is US's new rule for exporting AI chips? What is the main objective behind one last order of the Biden administration? How will the tiered framework for licensing and exporting artificial intelligence chip work? How has the tech industry responded to the move? Will it affect India? With an objective to advance increased control over circulation of artificial intelligence chips and technology, US Bureau of Security, Industry and Security introduced a tiered framework for licensing and exports. It held the regulations were in tandem with national security and foreign policy interest. Further, it would help cultivate a sense of trusted technology ecosystem for responsible use and diffusion of AI. Tiered framework for licensing and export, with an objective to advance increased control over circulation of artificial intelligence chips and technology. US Bureau of Industry and Security introduced a tiered framework for licensing and exports. What technology are we discussing? Broadly, regulations concern advanced computing chips and certain closed AI model weights. AI models are software programs that comprise a series of mathematical operations. When data is entered into the program, it executes those operations data on the entered data to produce outputs which could be information, analysis, or media. It is the design of these operations and their arrangement known as the model architecture that determines nature and quality of the output. The new regulations update existing rules for export, re-export, and transfers by segregating countries into three tiers, each harboring different rules for licensing and authorization. The first of these tiers entail no restrictions for the export, re-export and transfer of advanced computing chips to 18 US allies including Australia, Canada, South Korea, UK, Japan, among others. The second tier list introduces caps on volume and exemptions based on specifications alongside mandatory authorization and licensing. It holds that transactions could contribute to the development of advanced AI models would require a valid end user authorization. Those that do not contribute to the development of advanced AI tools such as chips and with collective computation power of roughly 1700 advanced GPUs would not need an authorization. China and India together have been categorized under this subhead. The third tier includes arm embargoed countries such as North Korea, Iran, and Russia, among others. Why has access been curtailed? One of the main objectives has been to ensure that the technology do not reach to the countries of concern or US adversaries. Further, as detailed in the Federal Register, it strives to ensure that model weights are stored outside the US only under stringent security conditions, and that large clusters of advanced integrated circuits necessary to train these models are built in destinations that pose comparatively low risk of diversion or misuse. The BIS determined that adversaries could potentially use the advanced AI systems to improve speed and accuracy of the military decision making, planning, and logistics. BIS also observed that access to systems could potentially lower the barrier for non exports, support offensive cyber operations, and assist in human rights violations such as through mass surveillance. Separately, it is essential to note that BIS placed concerns over Chinese companies utilizing foreign subsidiaries in a range of uncontrolled destinations to buy ICs. The primary concern relates to threat to US global competitiveness. India in the realm. Ned Finkel, Vice President of Government Affairs at NVIDIA, among the largest chip makers made globally, wrote in a blogspot that it would undermine the innovation that has kept the US ahead. Mr. Finkel argued that rules would do nothing to enhance US security. The new rules would control technology worldwide, including technology that is already widely available in mainstreaming gaming PCs and consumer hardware. Ken Gluck, executive vice president at Oracle, wrote in December 24 that rules assumed that there were no non suppliers to procure GPU technology from. Explaining the aspect about competitiveness, Oracle executive stated that by adding more chips to the problem, if you can keep playing the game, if your alternative supplier has less performance, you can achieve parity by just adding more GPUs from the task. Enter Huawei and Tencent, do it at cheaper price, enter the CCP. And deploy it globally, enter Alibaba, he explained. Ken Gluck, uh, what are the primary concern relates to the threat to US global competitiveness in the realm. Ned Finkel, among the world's largest chip makers globally, wrote in a blogspot that it would undermine the innovation that has kept the US ahead. Mr. Finkel argued that rules would do nothing to enhance US security. The new rules would control technology worldwide, including technology that is already widely available in mainstream gaming PCs and consumer hardware. The rules assumed that there were no other non-US suppliers to procure GPU technology from. Explaining the aspect about competitiveness, the Oracle executive stated that by adding more chips to the problem, you can keep playing the game. If your alternative supplier has less performance, you can achieve parity by just adding more GPUs for the task. Enter Huawei and Tencent, do it at a cheaper price, enter the CCP and deploy it globally, enter Alibaba, he explained. The rules have been introduced less than a week before President-elect Donald Trump's return to White House. The tech industry have pinned their hopes on the incoming administration to withdraw the framework. According to Pranay Kautasthan, chairperson of the High Tech Geopolitics program at Takshila Institution, big Indian data centers wanting to deploy advanced AI chips might need to apply for the validated end user authorization to speed things up. He observed that Indian companies acquiring value validated end user authorization can utilize the exported items for civilian and military purposes except for nuclear end uses. All in all, It does not seem to be a big deal. The bigger story here is that India is not in the trusted allies and partners category, probably because of the leakages of chips to Russia, he said. Is the government encouraging cross-pathy? Why did the Maharashtra Foods and Drugs Administration issue a directive allowing homeopathic practitioners to prescribe allopathic medicines? Maharashtra Food and Drugs Administration has recently issued a directive allowed homeopathic practitioners who have completed a certificate course in modern pharmacology to prescribe allopathic medications. In 2017, Maharashtra Medical Education and Drug Department had issued a notification allowing homeopathic practitioners to practice modern medicine. As per this notification, doctors who have obtained licentiate of the Court of Examiners of Homeopathic degree from 1951 to 1982 and were registered with the Maharashtra Medical Council were allowed to practice modern medicine. This directive was challenged in the Bombay High Court by IMA. The High Court issued a stay with the bench questioning the risk that can be posed to patients if doctors were allowed to practice allopathy. IMA Maharashtra President Santosh Kadam said it was unclear why the Maharashtra FDA has now issued this directive. He said even the central body for homeopathy had no provision to allow its practitioners to practice another stream of medicine, and that cross-pathy was banned by the Supreme Court. Following the Bombay High Court stay, uh, homeopathic practitioners were not allowed to prescribe allopathic medicine until the final decision of the court came in, he said. Former Secretary of the IMA Maharashtra, Parthiv Sanghi, pointed out that the issue has been portrayed as the Maharashtra government allowing the homeopathic practitioners to practice modern medicine, which is not the case, as this has already been stated by the High Court. This was a direction to the chemist to entertain allopathic prescriptions of homeopathic practitioners, but who had given the FDA the authority to issue such a directive? What is Supreme Court's stance on crosspathy? In 1996, in Poonam Verma versus Ashwin Patel and others, which involved a homeopathic part treating a patient with allopathic medications and the patient subsequently dying, Supreme Court had held that homeopath liable for negligence as he has prescribed medications that he was not qualified to. 2015 research paper by Suresh Badamat et al. States across judgments, the judiciary has held that cross-system practice is a form of medical negligence. However, it is permitted only in those states where the concerned governments have authorized it in general or special order. The central government has been promoting Ayush medicine for some years now, with a push being given to integrative or integrated medicine. The rationale in general has been that India has a shortage of doctors, particularly in rural areas, and that Ayush cadre of practitioners can help fill in these gaps. As per the Parliament statement in February 24, there are 13 lakh allopathic doctors are registered with the state medical councils and National Medical Commission as on June 22 and 5.65 lakh Ayush doctors. The shortage of specialists is dire. The Health Dynamics of India 22-23 report reveals that nearly 80% of the shortage of specialist doctors in the community health centers across rural India. Public health specialist Suham Bhadure pointed out that while there is evidence that mid-level providers can provide care for comparable quality of to that of medical doctors, their orderly integration into the system is crucial, allowing just any cadre of alternative medical practitioners to assume roles and functions that are meant for medical doctors is a recipe for anarchy. Gandhi and the reflections of India past and present. Two writers engage with Gandhi and his fertile world of ideas and actions to understand the forces that have shaped contemporary India. Both Krishna Kumar and Vivek Dhareshwar revealed the readers how Gandhi offers rich conceptual resources to reflect on the present. How did we come to be where we are today? What kind of forces shaped us? And what brought us to the current moment in history? Two recent books, both published in 24, are an attempt to answer precisely these questions. Despite being vastly different from engagement, Gandhi and his fertile world of actions and ideas is central to both. The first book is Thank You Gandhi, a labor of love by well known educationist and thinker Krishna Kumar. Though referred to as a novel, the book defies easy generic classification and is in an innovative blend of fiction and non-fiction. It is a unique exploration of Gandhi's thoughts and challenges of keeping his legacy alive in current political landscape. The story is largely told through eyes of a central character Munna, Viresh Pratap Singh, or brooding, thoughtful IAS officer, and the narrator's K's childhood. Before falling victim to COVID, Munna sends its unfinished manuscript to K and urges to complete it and present it to a larger audience. Using the fictional device of reconstructing his friend's manuscript, Kumar gives an evocative portrayal of the events of the last few decades and their disturbing psychological impact on a generation brought up on the vision of India as stamped by Gandhi, Nehru, and others, as India that was modern yet kind, considerate nation. The author vividly portrays Munna's tragic descent into despair and desperation as he sees the more expansive idea of India that he is brought up on slowly collapse with the rise of new dispensation. It is during these moments of darkness that Munna engages with Gandhi, working alongside the philosopher's saint in dialogue with him. Powerful socio-political commentary, the author captures the transformation of Bhopal from being a vibrant plural culture to a discordant divisive one. The Union Carbide tragedy of 1984 that killed innumerable people in one night, the festering effect of partition, these are interwoven with. In a moment of acute self-reflexivity, Munna even asked Gandhi whether he was it was all right to hate those in power. Gandhi responds by asking him to instead hate the system and urges Munna to think about why truth for him had to be clubbed with non-violence. It is here that Munna seems to grasp that there is something inherent in modern politics that produces excessive identities and hatred. 13 killed as train runs over passengers. Tragic loss of lives in a very unfortunate incident near Pachora in Jalgaon district is deeply distressing. I pay my heartfelt tributes to them, Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis said in a video message. Emergency equipment like glass cutters, floodlights, etc. have been kept ready. We are monitoring the entire situation. Necessary assistance is being provided immediately. Rubio seeks talks on migration with India. Minister said that meeting reviewed the extensive bilateral partnership on which Mr. Rubio has been strong advocate. I look forward closely working with him to advance on strategic cooperation. There are estimated 7.2 lakh undocumented Indians in the US among 1.4 million in total according to US Immigration Agency, which nearly 18,000 are on a list of final removal or deportations. India's Ministry of External Affairs did not respond to requests for a comment on Mr. Rubio's demand, nor did it respond to reports that India has agreed to cooperate in the deportation of 18,000 Indians in the list. The revocation of citizenship by birth, which is due to implemented within 30 days if not annulled by US courts, would affect hundreds of thousands of Indians. Taxes on BRICS. Neither side referred to Mr. Trump's other statement while issuing executive orders that he would levy a 100% tax on members of BRICS grouping if they sought to sideline the US dollar in trading. Earlier, Mr. Jaishankar attended Quad meeting along with Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong and Japanese Foreign Minister Takeshi, which was Mr. Rubio's first foreign policy engagement after meeting State Department employees. A joint statement issued by four ministers said that they strongly opposed any unilateral actions that seek to change the status quo by force or coercion, a message believed to be aimed at China's action in the region. JDU's lone MLA withdraws support to government in Manipur. Reacting swiftly, the party removed its Manipur state president for indiscipline and once again pledged its support for the BJP led NDA. Congress criticized JDU's actions and questioned whether this indicated broader political shift within NDA. The Janata Dal United withdrew support to the BJP government in Manipur. However, reacting swiftly, the party removed Manipur state president for indiscipline, once again pledged its support for BJP led NDA, stating that the party would continue to remain with the BJP government in Manipur. Stay extended on defamation case against Tharoor. Eyewitnesses recall moments of horror. Eyewitnesses struggled to recount the horror when a tram ran over several passengers who rushed out of Lucknow Mumbai Pushpak Express following rumors of a fire on Wednesday evening. At least 12 people lost their lives, were injured. It was a horrible scene when I reached there. The body parts of the deceased were scattered all over the place. We called for ambulances. The mortal remains of the deceased were gathered and were sent to the hospital. Some passengers immediately pulled alarm chain, bringing the train to halt. As soon as the stop, people began disembarking and running in fear. Tragically, a train on the adjacent track struck those who had stepped down. The level shifted to makeshift hospital, Punjab informed Supreme Court. NIA to on lookout for BKI suspects on Chandigarh grenade attack case. Union Minister Vaishnav takes part in a series of meetings in WF25. Flagship scheme for girl child has helped defeat bias. Districts with historically low child sex ratios have reported significant improvement. Awareness campaigns have instilled a deeper sense of importance of gender equality, says Prime Minister, asserting that Beti Bachao Beti Padhao campaign has helped overcome gender bias. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said districts with historically low child sex ratios have shown remarkable improvement since the campaign was launched a decade ago. The scheme launched by Prime Minister at Panipat in Haryana on January 22, 2015, addresses the child sex ratio and related issues of women empowerment. It is a tri-ministerial effort of Ministries of Women and Child Development, Health and Family Welfare and Education. The key element of the scheme to include enforcement of the Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act, a nationwide awareness and advocacy campaign, and multi-sectoral action in select hundreds districts, low CSR in first phase. Thanks to the dedicated efforts of the people and various community organizations, Beti Bachao Beti Padhao has achieved remarkable milestones. Districts with historically low child sex ratios have reported significant improvement and awareness campaigns. Today, there have been an increase in the enrollment rate of girls in the school and an unprecedented improvement in the sex ratio. Today, daughters are increasing the country's prestige by playing a leading role in every field. The success of Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme is evident in substantial improvement in child sex ratio, institutional deliveries, and access to health services. For girls, the Government of India is committed to ensuring that every girl child receives the care and opportunities she deserves to grow into a leader of tomorrow. As the center flagship program Beti Bachao Beti Padhao completes a decade, 10 years of Beti Bachao Beti Padhao, our three questions to Modi ji: why did the BJP adopt the policy of save the criminals instead of save the daughters? When will women of Manipur get justice? Whether it is Dalit daughters of Hathras or daughter of Unnao or our champion female wrestler, why has the BJP always protected criminals? Junior doctors withdraw cease work in Vidapur. Electoral bonds, please seek review of top court order. Man found dead after alleging harassment by wife and kin. Centre announces hike in MSP for jute by 315 per quintal, and National Health Mission has curbed several public health concerns. EPFO added 8.74 lakh members in November. Tax avoidance treaties: India sets new norms for claiming benefits. Central Board of Direct Taxes has issued fresh guidelines for principal purpose test provisions under double taxation avoidance agreements or DTAs deals with Cyprus, Mauritius, Singapore to remain outside for now. Demand side: HUL volumes 2% in quarter 3. Pakistan will continue to expand support to people of Kashmir, Prime Minister. Bangladesh court acquits Khalida Zia in a 10-year-old sabotage case. Sabotage case filed by the Southernist Kumila district 10 years ago. Court observed that case was filed on political grounds and harassment. Last week, Ms. Zia was acquitted in the Orphanage Trust graft case. China's Navy gets new generation frigate to counter US and others. China's Navy commissioned a new generation frigate to counter the US and other regional powers, saying the ship will play a pivotal role. The first Type 054B frigate, christened the Luaho, was commissioned on Wednesday. 10 killed in Israel presses on with its raid on the occupied West Bank. Trump tells Putin to make Ukraine deal now or face tariffs. Trump warns of tariffs against European Union and a 10% rate on China by February. They treat us very, very badly, so they are going to be in for tariffs, says the US president. Trump slams bishop who battled for minorities. Prince Harry received full apology from Murdoch's tabloids. Diversity program shut staff placed on leave in US. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed that US federal employees working in diversity offices must be put on paid leave by Wednesday evening as the new administration of Donald Trump has ordered the program shut. Send a notification to all employees of DEIE, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion and Accessibility offices that they are being placed on paid administrative leave effectively as the agency takes steps to close and all DEIA initiatives. President Trump campaigned on ending the scourge of DEI from our federal government and returning America to a merit based society where people are hired based on their skills, not for the color of their skin. This is another win for Americans of all races, religion, and creeds. Promises made and promises kept. Panama complains to UN about Trump's threat starts audit. You will see the whole range of emotions, passions, intensity in love, and that is Dortmund. in any decision we take, we ask what is important for the fan and what does the fan expect. Space telescopes stumble on rule-breaking black hole. Supermassive black holes are the most common type of black holes in the universe. Most galaxies contain supermassive black holes in their center. These black holes have masses ranging from millions to billions of times than that of the Sun. Supermassive black hole Sagaritas A, located in the center of Milky Way galaxy, has a mass of approximately 4.3 million solar masses. The new found black hole, designated LID 568, is a low-mass supermassive black hole that existed 1.5 billion years from the Big Bang. If the universe were a human, it could be said to be around 8 years old at this time. A detailed analysis of the effects of neighborhood indicated that the black hole was feeding on the surrounding cloud of matter at an exceptional rate, almost 40 times greater than what astrophysicists thought was the upper limit. The study was led by International Gemini Observatory. We first identified this unusual object through Chandra X-ray observations, as it was exceptionally bright in X-rays but completely visible in the deepest optical and near-infrared observations, even with the Hubble Space Telescope. Because it was detected in X-rays, we couldn't determine its nature with JWST unparalleled sensitivity in the infrared. We were finally able to uncover this exotic object, highlighting the complementary power of these observatories. The rate at which the black hole feeds on the matter is governed by what astronomers call Eddington limit. This limit is named after English astronomer Arthur Stanley Eddington because he worked it out first. It is also related to how brightly a black hole can shine. Nothing can escape a black hole, of course, but when a black hole pulls surrounding matter towards itself, the infalling material becomes compressed, heats up, emits radiation, especially X-rays. This concept behind Eddington limit is straightforward. As the matter collects around the black hole and gets packed into a disk, it heats up and emits radiation and generates an outward pressure capable of counteracting the gravitational pull of the black hole. When this radiation pressure balances the force of gravity, black hole black hole will stop accruing the matter. Ergo, there is a limit on how brightly the black hole can shine. If the limit is crossed, this scenario is called super Eddington accretion. This is the category of which LID 568 falls. So said, they measured the total light coming from the black hole and its mass using observations from Chandra in JSWT's near infrared spectrograph instrument, which revealed exceptional accretion behavior of LID 568. Experts have hypothesized that super Eddington black holes can exist. They have even found a few, but LID 568 has defied their expectations in two ways. First, it much farther away. The most distinct of these other black holes is only 2.3 billion light years from the Earth. Second, while the rule breakers exceed the Eddington limit by 2 or 3, LID has done so by 40. Super Eddington episodes in black holes are expected to be short-lived, so it is also remarkable that researchers captured LID 568 in action. The existence of supermassive black holes that are millions or billions of times that are more massive than our Sun poses a challenge to current models of black hole formation and growth. Scientists have confirmed that such a black holes reside at the center of many galaxies that should have formed when the universe was less than a billion years old. However, they cannot explain how these objects came to be when the universe was so young when they shouldn't. According to some traditional models who said supermassive black holes are thought to form from the death of the first star, light seeds with 10 to 100 times the mass of the sun, or through the direct collapse of the primordial gas cloud, such as heavy seeds with 1,000 to 100,000 times the mass of the Sun. However, these models lack direct observational confirmation and require sustained continuous accretion of large amounts of matter over several hundreds of millions of years to account for the most extreme supermassive black holes observed in the early universe. The discovery of LID 568 is crucial because it suggests that large black holes could have put on significant fraction their weight during short-lived episodes of rapid feeding. If true, this mechanism would do away with black holes having to feed on larger quantities of matter for a very long time and offer a convincing explanation for how supermassive black holes could form so quickly. So, also said that there are several theories to explain how black holes can exceed the Eddington limit, including geometrically thick accretion disks, powerful black hole jets, and black hole mergers. However, she said that her team doesn't still doesn't fully understand the exact mechanism that allowed LID 568 to feed a fast, and that follow-up observation with JWST will be crucial to admitting or eliminating other hypotheses. The researchers also found that the galaxy where LID 568 resided wasn't producing many new stars, the result of the black supermassive hole driving powerful streams of material outward from the center called outflows. These outflows could be preventing matter from accumulating in enough quantities from the stars. To confirm this idea as well as to inform it with more data, Sir said that her team are planning to examine the similar galaxies and examine their outflows. The research team is also planning to find out how long a black hole can accrue matter at a super Eddington rate as well as a percentage of all black holes do so. Wuhan keen to shake off pandemic label after 5 years. 13 killed as train runs over passengers amid fire scare. Karnataka Express runs over passengers who jumped out of the Lucknow Mumbai Pushpak Express. Marco Rubio calls for talks on migration as he meets Jaishankar. 14 killed in two accidents in Karnataka. Court reserves verdict on FIR case gallery in MF Hussain paintings case. Scheme for girl child has helped defeat bias. The lawyer has sought an FIR under Section 299 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, deliberate and malicious intent. Now CBI seeks death sentence for convict in RGK murder case. Excavation begins of ancient well near Sambal Margs. The Sambal District Administration of Uttar Pradesh started excavating an ancient well found under alleged illegal encroachment near Shahi Jama Masjid. Administration said excavation was initiated following complaints from locals that well had been illegally covered up. The well, located about 50 meters from the mosque, is considered one of the 19 ancient wells in the region. Over time, the well was covered and its original form altered, according to the residents. Preliminary investigation suggests that the well was encroached upon and covered. We are excavating it to restore it. The administration's initiative is being seen as a step towards clearing encroachments on the ancient structures. In Sambal, the excavation comes from Supreme Court's order January 10th, directing a status quo be maintained with respect to well located near the entrance. The court directed private respondents and local authorities to file counter affidavits and status reports within 2 weeks. Sambal has been tense since the local court ordered a survey of the mosque following claims that the temple previously stood at the site. Violence erupted in November 24 last year as protesters gathered near the mosque and clashed with UP police personnel. Supreme Court divided over Tahir Hussein's interim bail plea to canvass for contest Delhi Assembly elections. Rahul Gandhi skips poll rally. His not well has been advised rest. Our budget will include inclusivity, Utsav or Utsaah ka Sangam. UP cabinet meets at a Mahakumbh Mela in Prayagraj. Key policies, projects approved. Major connectivity projects including granting in principle approval of 320-kilometer long Vindhya Expressway and the 100-kilometer long Vindhya Purvanchal Link Expressway. Vindhya Expressway, Vindhya Purvanchal Link Expressways. These expressways will drive the region's social and economic development. A 320-kilometer expressway will build Prayagraj, Mirzapur, Varanasi, Chandauli, and Sonbhat. Starting from Ganga Expressway in Prayagraj and ending in Sonbhat, it will provide direct connectivity between Ganga Vindhya Expressways while enhancing links with the neighboring states like Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. Mahakumbh, the festival of unity, equality, and harmony, a festival of Indianness and humanity. May Ma Ganga, Ma Yamuna, and Ma Saraswati bring welfare to all. Mirwais led team to meet panel on Waqf bill. We are hoping that JPC would visit Kashmir for feedback, but it did not happen. Supreme Court lambasts Assam government over detention centers, summoned Chief Secretary for not giving reasons for detaining 270 foreign nationals at Matia transit camp and steps taken for their deportation. List welfare schemes that government is wasting money on. TNCM AIMTMK leader. Burials must be held only in designated graveyards for each faith. Tribal king from Kerala to attend Republic Day parade. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister meets Bill Gates in Davos. Hyderabad, the place for investments are the world mobility options. Revant. So that's all. See you in the next one.